Okay, so what's up everyone, my name's Alex and this is a Pygame tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm just going to be explaining how to make a square move randomly as well as bouncing off the walls. So let's get started. So the first thing to do is, let me get my notes. So as always, import Pygame. I should do this beforehand really so I can just get into the meat and bone, well not meat and bones, the meat and potatoes of the video. Well, I like doing it just to prepare, just in case people don't know what to do. So import Pygame from pygame.locals, import asterisk. Then I'm going to initialize Pygame, pygame.init, and then I'll create some colours. So I'll have purple again, since it's my favourite colour. So 155, 0, 155. Now they're RGB values, and that's why I'll create one of the colours of the rectangle. And I also have white for the background, so I'll have 245, 245, 245. Unfortunately, this might be quite a long video, so I don't know, make a cup of tea or something and get ready. So then I'll create a window. So window equals pygame.display.set underscore mode, double opening parentheses, then 640 wide, as I like to say, and 600 down. Then the next thing that we need to do, since something's moving on the screen, you'll need to monitor the speed at which you want the thing that's moving to run. And to do this, you do something called pygame.tick.clock, and this is just basically another way of saying how many frames per second you want your window to run. So I'm going to set a variable called the time equals pygame.tick.clock. Now I'll set this now, and then after the loop, or inside the loop, I'll set a frames per second, and I'll show it twice. I'll do it once in 40 frames per second, and I'll do it again in 20 frames per second, and then that'll show the difference between the speed at which the rectangle will move. So the next thing to do is, what's the next thing to do? So the next thing to do is to set the X and Y position, the starting X and Y position of the rectangle that's going to move. So I'm going to set my rectangle to 100 across and 100 down. So it's going to be 100 pixels across, 100 pixels down. Now the next thing to do is to set by how many pixels you want the rectangle to move in the X position and Y position. So if I want the rectangle to move 5 pixels to the 5 pixels along across, I'll set it to 5. So rectangle X will equal 5, a rectangle Y will also equal 5. So it's sort of in an angle, if you know what I mean. So it's going across 5, but it's also going down 5. So it's going down at like a sort of, wouldn't be about a 60-degree angle, something like that. And then that's it for now. So I'll set this to rectangle X plus and rectangle Y plus, just so you know the difference. And then the next thing to do is create the loop, and this is where we initiate everything. So once again, so for event in pygame.event.get open and close parentheses, if event.type is equal to pygame.quit colon pygame.quit, then sys.exit, and then break. Then I'm going to fill the window, or fill the window with the colour white. It's always white, white's been verified. And then the next thing to do is to draw the rectangle. So I'm going to do pygame.draw.rect, now opening parentheses, then the first value to go into the rectangle, I don't know if you remember, is the name of the surface. And the name of the surface is window, since pygame.display.set_mode is the creation of the surface for Pygame. So the first value is the window, then a comma, and then I'm going to have my rectangle be purple, and then another comma, and then this time I'm going to have it in a list value, or just in a closed normal bracket. Then I'm going to have it as rectangle X, because this is where I want my rectangle to be. I want it to be 100 pixels across and 100 pixels down. Then a comma, and then rectangle Y, so I want it to be 100 pixels down as well. And then I want it to go 50-50. next thing to do, this is what happens. You get the rectangle x value, and then you add it to the rectangle x plus value. So it's going to be 100 plus 5. It'll do that, and then it'll out the loop. And then since it's not inside the loop, it won't keep on repeating. If this was inside the loop, or any of these are inside the loop, it would just go to 100 plus 5 or 100 plus 5, and it wouldn't move at all. Well, it'll move 5 pixels and then it go back. But since it's outside the loop, it'll keep on adding until it'll keep on adding onto it. It'll keep on adding onto 100, so it'll keep on going down, if you know what I mean. And then you do the same for rectangle y. Oh, plus equals, sorry. Plus equals rectangle y plus. So I'll put a little comment here. What could I do? 100 plus 5 continues until we hit a certain parameter, such as the edge of screen defined below. So this is where we define when we want the rectangle to move, to bounce it off the screen. So since we'll have an if statement. So if rectangle x is greater than 590, so if it's greater than 590, so rectangle x, remember that's going across, it will rectangle x plus equals rectangle x plus times minus 1. Now I have a lot. If you ever heard of Professor Craven on YouTube, he does a lot of Pygame tutorials, and I've watched his video and he did this. Now what minus 1 does is, whatever the value is, as soon as you're hitting this, if rectangle x is greater than 590, whatever value was in rectangle x plus, oh god, it'll get, since it's minus 1, it'll get reversed, so it'll bounce away from the wall, so it's sort of bouncing off the wall, and then it'll bounce into a specific direction. 1 minute, I'm just going to plug my charger in. Okay, so I'm back. So after that drastic and unnecessary interruption, I've assuaged the situation. So let's get back to it. So we'll also have, if rectangle x is less than 0, so if it goes to less than 0, we also want to do the same thing. We also want the rectangle to bounce off and go into another direction. Rectangle x plus times minus 1. So it's the same situation for y as well. So if rectangle y is greater than, what have we got written here? 550. I could put it to 590 or something, but I'll state it for 550 for now, because that's what I've got in my notes and that's worked. I've practiced this program a couple of times. So we'll have rectangle y plus equals rectangle y plus times minus 1. And then the same again, so if rectangle y is less than 0, we'll have rectangle y plus equals rectangle y plus times minus 1. So all the minus 1 does is that it flips the value of the rectangle x plus, so it goes the opposite way, if you know what I mean. So if it's going towards greater than 590, whatever the value of rectangle x plus is at the time when it's greater than 590, it will get flipped and go the opposite way, so it sort of creates a bouncing effect. And what's left? So got all them, got those values, if rectangle y, yep. Now this is interesting. So in the if statement, so this is still in the for loop. Now as I was saying earlier, we have pygame.tick.clock. Now this is the frames per second. So to create a frames per second value, you put the name of the variable, the time, which I created up here, then you put .tick, and then in open and closing parentheses you put the value of the FPS or frames per second that you want. So for this instance I'll do 40, so I'll have 40 frames per second, and in the second example, I'll show you 20 frames per second, and it'll show the difference between the speed. So we'll have pygame.display.update, and then there's pygame.quit. So hope this works now, after spending all this time on it. I really do hope it works. It probably won't, but what's wrong with it? Oh my god, I'm still an amateur at this, but it's a very rookie mistake that I shouldn't have made, really. But I should restart the tutorial, really. But I've spent 10 minutes, almost 11 minutes on it, so I'm just gonna explain with the error. So the error was initially when I created pygame.time.clock or pygame.tick.clock, it should be time, but it should be pygame.time.clock, not tick. So time, not tick. And then down here it should be tick. So I'm hoping that this works. So yeah, there we go. So there's the rectangle. As you can see, it's a white background and a purple rectangle. And as you can see, it's just bouncing off the screen, bouncing left to right. And as you can see, it's bouncing in sort of a sequence, if you know what I mean. So see where it's going. It's bouncing at the sort of same places, isn't it? So is it bouncing at the same places? Need to check. I think it is, to be honest. Or is it going a bit less? So yeah, there's a fully working bouncing rectangle across the screen. So the reason that it's bouncing is that if rectangle is greater than 550, the rectangle y plus value, which is equal to 5, reverses itself, so it bounces away from the x or y value that it's actually going towards. And then that's in 40 frames per second. I'll go to 20, and then I'll show you how slow it is. See how much slower that is. Especially, it's just, you can go much further into the frames per second, but basically it's just the speed of which you want the rectangle to go. Because if I set it to CC is not defined, oh, that doesn't matter. At least the program works. So this is just the speed and direction of rectangle x way, direction of rectangle y way. Yeah. So anyway, sorry about the error, I really apologise for that, and I apologise for the length of the video as well, but I will put the code in the description, and you don't need any external modules or anything, so you can just copy and paste it and then see where you go from there. So yeah, sorry about the error, hopefully you've learned something. If not, then I apologise, and just put in the video, or put in the comment section what you'd like me to do more, and yeah, thanks for watching, see ya, bye.